Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Medvedev is at it again, and it comes as no surprise. Why? Because if the Brits will overtly bring troops to Ukraine, the Russians, to fight the Russians in any capacity, peacekeeping forces or whatever euphemisms they might use, the Russian says we will consider that a declaration of war, which I think they should have considered it before, but small increments. That's how this war was. Very much conducted and controlled with the communication between the two sides, which is NATO, Al Capone, and the Russian Federation. It's not Ukraine and the Russians. It is Al Capone and the Russians, or the interests behind Al Capone, that actually shackled Al Capone and make us pay for it. So what do we have here? We have two articles, one coming from Reuters, the other one from Russia Today, where we have former president of the Russian Federation and prime minister, former Dmitry Medvedev, claiming that any British troop deployment in Ukraine, it will be considered a declaration of war. Now, I don't know if these guys in London will think that the Russians are bluffing, because as I said many times before, the record shows the Russians have been very consistent with whenever they say something, with what they do after that. So if they tell you they're going to give you $1, they're going to give you $1. If they tell you they're going to punch you in the face, they're going to punch you in the face. And there's many examples when the Russians follow through with their threats, explanations, warnings, or this kind of statements. So let's look at the first article coming from Reuters. Russia's Medvedev said any UK troop deployment to Ukraine would be a declaration of war. Will you use nuclear weapons to destroy the UK? Will you just use it not on the UK, next to UK, and then that's going to cause a tsunami and wash the whole country, as some Russian military suggested, and some other people? They don't have to hit the isles. So if the isles are very well defended, you hit next to it with a nuclear weapon. Boom, tsunami, cleaned. I don't want that to happen, but on the other hand, I think they should mind their own business. Don't you think? Action, reaction. Actions have consequences. Poor decisions yield, bad consequences, or result in bad consequences. Here is Medvedev, very, very feisty. A senior ally of President Vladimir Putin. Now, again, this is garbage. Why do you call him a senior ally? He is a governmental employee, isn't he? So do you think that a governmental employee appointed by the President of the United States of America, let's say Kirby being around, do you think that Kirby is not an ally to, what's his name, Biden? No, he's an ally to the United States of America. Okay, so is this guy. You can take Lloyd Austin the same way. Do you think that Lloyd Austin is an ally to Biden, or is an enemy? Well, he should be by definition, because he's in his government. So Lloyd Austin belongs to the Biden government. So he should be an ally, don't you think? So whenever these guys in the free media in the West use Medvedev, they say senior ally. Is he supposed to be a senior enemy? I mean, how imbecilic. But they make it like there's a clique. That's the whole purpose of this spin. Creating reality here, manufacturing reality. Whenever they talk about this and say senior ally and so on, they will try to make it like in Russia there's a clique of thugs, or a gang of evil people, with Putin being the guy on top, and everybody else is like NATO. One guy, Al Capone, with the vassal states, they pack together, they gang to rob other countries and destroy other countries. small and weak countries, always. Okay, indirectly, they use others, like Ukraine indirectly is used directly by these guys to destroy Russia and take over its arsenal and take their resources for free. So again, NATO uses Ukraine, destroy Russia. But hey, we are good because we're the good. So again, a senior ally warned on Friday that Moscow would regard any move by Britain to deploy a military contingent to Ukraine as a declaration of war against Russia. They should have probably considered this when the first bullet was sent by any country on this planet to Ukraine. Imagine this. You have, I have a fight with my neighbor, and we're shooting at one another, my family with his family, and then all of a sudden, you come out and you give my enemy, I don't know, a certain kind of weapon that will kill my family. What do you think I would consider you? Definitely I was about to say an animal, an enemy, wouldn't you? I mean, after all, without that weapon that you provide or bullets, my family will not be killed. Therefore, you initiated that. No, it's you because you started the war against you. Are we at war? If we are, then send them bullets and weapons. If they're not, stay the fuck out of it. I mean, it's so, I don't know, I feel very embarrassed that I have to talk about this obvious thing. You help my enemy, you become one of my enemies. But the Russians, and these guys, I think they have their connections, their communication behind the scenes. I mean, I don't think, I'm 100% certain they have it. Why do you think these guys don't do this and these guys don't do this and they tell these guys don't do this? It's all controlled by these guys and they communicate. Ukrainians communicate. Former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev, now deputy chairman of the Russian Security Council, made the comments in response to a visit by British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak in Kiev to announce an increase in military funding to help Ukraine purchase new military drones. That's about $3.5 billion. Congratulations, my British friends, because your life is all fixed. You're doing great. And I'm quoting, "I hope that our eternal enemies, the arrogant British." Now, question for my British friends. Why would Medvedev call the British, in general, the Russian eternal enemies? If you do not know the answer, or at least do not bring about 3 examples, historical examples, why Medvedev, the Russian, would say that the British are Russia's eternal enemy, you got a lot of reading to do. I'm not going to give you the answers. I can just point to, let's say, two examples. The war in Crimea, one of them. And the other one, look at Rasputin. Oh, what? Emil, what the hell are you talking about, Rasputin? Dead Rasputin? Yeah, dead Rasputin. When he was shot, why don't you want to read about it? Who was involved over there as well? Remember? We all know that they shot him, they poisoned him, they dragged him, they threw him into the, whatever, I can't remember the river, the name of the river. Anyway, look at those. And Rasputin was not an important, political figure, however we want to take it. Oh yeah, he was influential by the Tsar Alexander, wife, child. Okay, but why then you had guys involved in that? Why? Now, to understand that deploying an official military contingent to Ukraine would be a declaration of war against our country, Medvedev wrote on the Telegram messaging app. Now, I'm not saying that you don't have reasons to dislike, the Russian government or anything like that. These guys have the same reason of the British government. They don't dislike the English people, but these guys make it to sound like we together, the Americans, we are at war with those guys. No, it's those guys over there who drag the whole population into a war, and then we are the ones that are gonna face the consequences when those guys do certain things to us and say, they don't like us. They don't like who we have over there who dragged us. And the same is true for any other country. The politicians drag the whole nation, and then they tell you, don't visit Iran as a US citizen. Why? The Iranians don't like the Americans. No, they don't like the government, and vice versa. All right, my friends, So what do you think will happen? I think the Brits will say, we do whatever we want, and the ball is in your court. We're waiting to see what Medvedev or Russia will do. What can they do? As they always do. Follow through. Follow through. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Actually, let me show you this article from Russia Today, so we have the same. He doesn't say anything different here, but British troops in Ukraine would be declaration of war. Medvedev, the former Russian president, was reacting to the imminent signing of a security agreement between London and Kiev. So again, Moscow would consider the open deployment of British troops to Ukraine as a declaration of war. Sunak arrived, set out a major new package to support and reaffirm the close UK-Ukraine partnership. Yeah, destroy Russia. And after that, I'm going to suck your blood all the way. How? I'm going to help you rebuild Ukraine. But you're not going to win, so that's out of the question. As of now, we're going to feed our banks and how do you call those, weapons manufacturing companies. And I'm quoting, the deal formalizes a range of support the UK has been and will continue to provide for Ukraine's security, including intelligence sharing, cybersecurity, medical and military training, and defense industrial cooperation, Downing Street said. The British government has pledged £2.5 billion or $3.2 billion in military aid to Ukraine over the next 2 years. That's not a lot, but still comes from someone, right? So it says Moscow has on several occasions accused the UK for helping Ukraine organize attacks against Russia, particularly in the Black Sea. The Russian Defense Ministry has claimed that British military personnel already have a presence in Ukraine. As always with threats. Are you doing anything about it? If not, it's just propaganda or talking, trying to influence or raise awareness. Other than that, are you going to do anything about it? Well, what can you do? Are you going to bomb the UK? Those guys are pushing it. And you know who's going to be hurt? You. You meaning the population, the citizenry, the subjects. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.